Like I said earlier in the week, every game's a little bit different. It takes on a different personality. We knew that they were going to be somewhat cautious, in the way they played. They tried to slow the game down for sure, and make it difficult for us to get forward. I thought in the first half we didn't spread the game quite enough. I thought in the second half we spread the game more, and we got in behind them more and had cleaner looks on goal, scored off the set piece. Sometimes games like that come down to set pieces, and, proud of the fact that we got a shutout. Proud of the fact that, it was a victory that we had to grind out coming off an emotional game last week, so I'm happy with what the guys did.
No changes to the lineup. Does that just kind of speak to how you thought you played last weekend?
Well, obviously we had a good game last weekend. We didn't have any injuries, so there's no need to change anything at this point. As we move forward, Marco Papa goes, to join Guatemala now, so we'll have to make a change there. We got a couple guys sitting on cards where next yellow could make them sit out a game. So there's always changes that end up forcing your hand in different areas. So that's why you got to have good reserve players. And, again, it was just a reflection of rewarding the team that played well last week.
You had mentioned some mystery in preparing for them just because of the lineup issues. Did you have any clue about the keeper switch that was happening?
No, keeper switch surprised us a little bit. The last time we saw him was when we played against him when he was at Atlanta in the Open Cup. So at least some guys knew who he was, and we were familiar with him, and we hoped he wasn't carrying a gun since he was an ex-sheriff. No, but it's, it was a little bit of a surprise. The rest of the lineup we had pretty much. We weren't too far off. We didn't know if Pierre Meyer was going to be inside or outside, and Birch inside or outside. So, that was the only one that we missed on a bit.
You mentioned needing patience the other day and trying to break them down. Did you sense a wavering at all towards the end of the first half?
Yeah, there's always a frustration there, and like I said, I think we pinched in too much wide, so as a result our forwards a couple of times to get to see the ball went really deep because there was no space for them to check back into. And if you notice in the second half, when Marco stayed wider, and Evans was providing us width on the other side more so, then all of a sudden that space underneath opened up for Oba and opened up for Dempsey, and then you could see some combinations, some that they connected on, some that they barely missed on, but you could also see us getting in on the side. The corner came off a good run from Evans coming in, resulting in the corner that resulted in the goal. So being able to go out wide then opens up the middle.
You also kind of alluded to this in the days leading up, but you kind of like the idea that you guys can win a 6-goal game in Atlanta and then come back, or in Portland, and come back and get this one.
Yeah. I mean, you have to, if you want to go far. If you want to go far in the playoffs, you got to be able to win games like this. You got to be able to play 0 in the back. You got to be able to minimize the opponent's chances, and sometimes you just got to make good use of your set pieces and things like that. Those are deciding factors. And we were unlucky, I think, maybe not to get a couple more in the second half. He made a couple of good saves. Nasco did. The one Oba hit off the crossbar, was another good effort. So, I was happy. And you got to win different types of games to be successful.
What did you like about what you saw out of this team defensively today?
Defensively, they were good. I thought we kept the play in front of us pretty much. Except for one time in the second half, I never really saw Deshaun Brown get behind us and run at us, or them. They tried to clip a few balls over the top of our defense, but Marshall and Zach did a really good job with that. So that forced them to play in front of us a little bit more. So I thought we did a really good job of keeping the game in front of us and not allowing them to use their speed to get behind our back four. I thought we did well there.
How long do you guys plan on being without Marco?
Their tournament runs through the next 2 weeks. So it'll be 2 weekends. Well, obviously, one of the big things we talked about is we felt we made a statement last week, but statement doesn't mean anything unless you back it up. So this was backup time. We've got to back it up. But it's also, when you come off an emotional game, it's natural that your team's maybe a little flatter as well. And so you want to make sure you don't have that, hurt your team. So I thought we did a good job of backing up our statement, getting the 3 points, winning at home, getting a shutout. I think all of those were positives for us tonight.
What does this team miss without Marco being available?
Well, obviously he's done a good job on our set pieces, although, Pineda has done well with those as well. So lucky we have two guys who do well with that. Marco's a guy who helps us keep possession, who helps connect passes for our team, and somebody when he gets wide on the left flank is also a guy who can get over crosses and get behind the defense in that way. I thought he had one really good chance where I thought he was going to pull the trigger instead of trying to lay it through, but he's had a good season for us. He'll continue to play well.
Any more questions? All right, thank you.
Okay.